What it do? All right. This is actually, is this 4? No, this is 3. So, let's just do that. Okay. I hope that's good. So, Instagram, I feel like I've been hard on you. I feel like I have been hard on you. So, you get a dedicated live today, but YouTube and Facebook, I'm just recording and going to upload it, a recorded version. But you get a live. So, congratulations to you, Instagram. So, I actually don't care if people tune in, but, you know, I was a little hard. I don't know what's going on with the Instagram folk. I don't even know if people tuned in on Facebook or YouTube, but it's not about that. It's about the information. So, as I was reflecting last night, you know, I was like, man, that was a good video, but I may have, I don't know, not gone too far, but I was just thinking about the title, Abandaon All Hope. And as much as it's not clickbait, because that's literally what we're talking about. It's not a clickbait title. But I was like, well, if someone doesn't click on it, they're going to be like, what the fuck is going on here? This dude's lost it. What is he talking about? Abandaon All Hope. And so I was like, I need to know the video. And the more I thought about it, actually, through intuition, I actually came back with some Lo Zhang slogans, which we'll get into in a moment, that directly relate to what we are talking about. So I was like, you know, I need to do another version, right? So this is the end of the Abandaon All Hope trilogy. And hold on, we're going to do this because, I don't know, it's harder to, hold on, Instagram, bear with me. Okay, Instagram, I hope that's good. Well, let me check. Well, do I need to check? Well, let's check. Okay. That works much better. Anyways, let's just turn that up a little bit. Okay. So, upon thinking about it, you know, it needed another version. There were still some things that I did not say in the previous videos that I said I was going to say, but I didn't get to. So that's where this third Abandaon All Hope sequel came from. And so there's a few things. One, I was actually thinking, so if you don't know what Lo Zhang is a Buddhist practice. It's based on 59 slogans, and it's a very practical practice because you take a slogan, you reflect upon it, you apply it in your life. For example, number 13, be grateful to everyone. There's no trick. There's no, oh, this is what they, no, they literally mean be grateful for everyone. Or contemplate the kindness of everyone. That's an alternative version of it. And yeah, it's literally that. You're grateful for everyone, right? Always maintain a joyful mind. It's exactly like it sounds. And we don't mean joyful necessarily like, oh, look at me, I'm smiling, right? Just an inner joy that permeates, you know, your existence, right? You always have a joyful mind. Even in the midst of sadness, even in the midst of heartbreak, you still have an inner deep joy that kind of permeates even the trauma, the sadness, the pain, the unhappiness. So I was thinking about, so it's a great practice. And actually there's 2 books, which I'm going to read from. First is Training the Mind, Cultivating Love and Kindness, Chogyam Trungpa. Show that to the Instagram folks. And then the source material for that book, which is Jamgon Kongtrul's Great Path of Awakening. Check that out. And this Great Path of Awakening was a source text for Chogyam's book, right? Because this came out, I don't know, 1800s? Yeah, 1800s. Anyways, they're great. I've been working with them for probably, 10 years now at this point. And yeah, there's ones that I really remember, and like things will come up in my life. I'd be like, oh yeah, that one. Like, don't ponder others. That's one that always comes up in my mind because, you know what? I'm always pondering others. I'm always like, what's going on with Sally? What's going on with Susie? It doesn't really matter. What's going on with me? Don't ponder others, because at least my insight in thinking about this over the years is you'll never fully understand why people do what they do. So it's kind of a moot point at a certain place. And you should just really just take all that energy and focus on Susie and John and Jermaine and Tito and David Ruffin. There's someone who we enrolled in the program I work in today. His name was David Ruffin. I was like, The Temptation? He's back? He's back? That was David Ruffin. That's a great name. Anyways, so these slogans are very helpful, right? They're Chogyam puts it, they help open your hearts and tame your ego, right? And train your mind also. So anyway, I was thinking about one of these slogans, which the slogan is the 2 activities, one at the beginning and one at the end, right? But I didn't remember like what number it was. And so I was like, wait, isn't that? I was trying to figure it out, right? So I have them each slogan on a piece of paper. And then I came to one that I'd forgotten about because I really, I had read it numerous times, but it didn't stick out like the other ones I've just mentioned, right? This slogan. And you know what the slogan was, folks? I was like, oh man, this is going at part 3. I'd already kind of committed to a part 3, but once I read this, I was like, oh man, we got more to share about this. So there's 2 versions of it, because right, there's the version from Great Path of Awakening, and there's a version from Training of the Mind. Now, Training of the Mind references part of the version in Great Path of Awakening. So I'll read that one first, and then I'll read the Chogyam one. Okay, so the slogan is, give up all hope for results. What's that? What did he say? I didn't hear. I was baking cookies. I was doing dishes. I was on a crowded street. I didn't hear what he said. Oh, I'll read it again. It says, give up all hope for results. Wow, we were talking about that for the past 2 days. What are the odds? They're very good. Shout out to Intuition, because I'd forgotten about these slogans. Okay, so give up hope of subduing gods and demons by meditating on mind training, or hope that you be considered a good person when you try to help someone who has hurt you. These are hypocritical attitudes. In a word, give up hope for any result that concerns your own welfare, such as the desire for fame, respect, happiness, and comfort in this life, the happiness experienced in the human or God realms in future lives, or the attainment of nirvana for yourself. Ooh, boy. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Yeah. Give up all those hopes and dreams and desires and successes. It doesn't mean you stop doing the things that may lead to this thing, which I think we've talked about before, but I will reiterate because this one is also called Redefining Hope. Okay, so let's read the Chogyam version. But I just get back to the page. So this one is abandon any hope of fruition. Slightly different wording. Okay. So, wait, how long is this? Oh, okay. This slogan means that you should give up any possibilities of becoming the greatest person in the world by means of your training. In particular, you might quite impatiently expect that because of Lojong practice, you'll become a better person. You may be hoping that you'll be invited to more little clubs and gatherings by your proteges or friends who are impressed with you. The point is that you have to give up any such possibility. Otherwise, you become an egomaniac. In other words, it is too early for you to collect disciples. Okay, there's more, but I just want to stop right there. One, this is a huge issue in kind of like the social media era, like especially what I'm doing, right? I am dispensing wisdom. I'm talking about occult science, spirituality, ancient wisdom, all that fun stuff. That is like so the antithesis of wanting followers, right? People want to follow me because they like this video and I'm not going to stop them. But it's like the concept of followers is like the opposite of what the like knowledge path is about, right? So people gaining followers, it's just going to fuck with your ego, folks. It's going to turn you into egomaniac. Like I was thinking about this yesterday, not necessarily related to this, but I was like, how do you deal with success and fame, right? I was just kind of thinking about like, what would be the best preparation to deal with success and fame? I was like, oh, here it is. Okay, so you're a monk who's been raised at 5 and you've greatly worked on your mind. And then at 30, you're given fame and success. But I was like, Chogyam, I love me Chogyam. I love him. The man's brought me so much insight from his words. right? In his way of explaining, pursuing enlightenment, to use that phrase. But even he had his demons. An enlightened being had his issues. We don't need to go into them. You could research them yourselves. That he had to deal with. And, that just understanding his life and what he's contributed and allegedly other things he has done that, aren't great. It just, I said this to my friend the other day when we were talking about Twitch dying. I was like, you know what? I don't know what was going on with him. And I read more about it where it was just like, man, like he just like left his car at home, and like his wife was like, he left his car here and like disappeared, and he wasn't acting like himself, and they went to a hotel, and I guess he shot himself at the hotel. But the thing I said in response to that, I was like, I don't know what was going on. This is just me kind of seeing the situation, kind of just thinking about it. But successful, famous, well-known dancer, accolades, right? All these sorts of things, right? The darkness does not give a fuck about any of that. Our inner darkness, our trauma doesn't give a fuck if you have a Grammy or not. It doesn't give a fuck if you dance in front of 20,000 people. It doesn't even factor in. It doesn't even factor into how that'll affect you, right? So we could just say that all that shit's a wash. It doesn't really mean shit. It makes our ego feel good, like, oh yeah, I got these awards, like people applauded, that sort of things. And folks, I'm not against awards, I'm not against applauding, but it's the underlying intention, it's the underlying energy of these things that create issues in our life, right? Because like they take over. It's just all about the applause and not about like, well, what's going on here? It's like, wait, no, babysitter, applause, I need more applause. Where's the applause? Anyways, so, you'll just, like with anything you do, you want to get better, right? But this could just turn into you feeding your ego, and spirituality is no different, right? I was having a conversation earlier with somebody where just about feeding one's ego, right? It's like this dude on my caseload who I really like, and he's quote unquote the best person on my caseload. He's very motivated. Like, even said something funny. He's like, oh, I came to check on you today. I was like, oh, that's hilarious. Like, but he would be that type. Like, he's always just trying to put people on. Hey, do you know about this? Do you know about that? Reach out to these people. They can help out, right? Cool dude. But I was like, yeah, I don't want to pick up your ego. He's like, oh, I do that myself, right? But that I was making the point where it's like anything, it's all about context. It's all about, is your ego running the show, or is it have its role and it's, being a good soldier? Right? Like our higher minds needs to run the show. Our Buddha mind needs to run the show. And the ego could be a great soldier, right? But the private is, in the military, does the private determine where they're going to bomb or where they're going to invade? No, the colonels are fucking, I don't know how it works in the military with the fucking, not privates make those sort of determinations, right? And so, you just have to look at it in that context with your ego. It's like the ego is a private. It's like it's a rookie officer. It doesn't make the decisions, so it shouldn't make the decisions. It needs to be a higher, more seasoned person in the organization, which is your mind, who makes these calls. So what you can get into, it can become an exercise your ego, no matter what it is. Become just a huge exercise your ego, and then it kind of, are you helping people or are you serving your own ego? Remember what I said last time? I feel 70% of compassionate activities is probably done out of people's ego deep down. And we have to be honest about these things, folks. We have to be honest. Have every time you've helped someone, you've done it purely for the whatever, for the compassion? Or you're like, oh, like, did it make you feel good? Right? That's why I love, there's very rare situations where I will quote a Friends episode. But I thought this from a philosophical standpoint. I thought this was a very clever episode, and it really actually made me think. Where it was Phoebe and it wasn't Joey. It was Phoebe and fucking what's his name, the other dude, Chandler, and they were having this debate throughout the episode about helping people, about like it's not a pure thing because it's like it makes you feel good. So it's like, how could it be that pure if it makes you feel good? I forget Chandler's exact counterpoint. He's like, oh no, it's whatever, right? But I was with Phoebe. I was like, yeah, exactly. You know, exercise of the ego, right? Doesn't mean don't help people, folks, but just means be aware of your intentions when you do. And this is the example I always use. There's an old woman who is about to cross the street. Oh, maybe she looks like she needs help. And you're like, oh, you see her like, oh, young woman, do you need some assistance with your bags as you cross the street? Oh, yes, laddie, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I love some help. Okay, so you help her cross the street, right? Cool. Great. Fantastic. But there's another scenario where same thing, but there's a slight difference in the scenario. And that slight difference is Chelsea, who is in one of your college algebra classes, she happens to be right there. She actually has to be, you see her and you see her notice you, but it's like, oh, no shit, interesting. And maybe deep down, or maybe consciously, kind of want to impress Shilly. I'm a good guy, Oh, let me help this old woman cross the street. Now, same activity that's on the surface, no one would know these inner workings except for you, but different intentions underlying them. One is much more highly out of one's ego, and the other one is less out of one's ego. I mean, it's all up to you, but don't believe yourself or really scrutinize yourself. Don't, be like, I'm a piece of shit. I've been doing all these kind deeds out of my own ego, right? No. But just be aware that the ego wants us to feel good. It's like, ooh, this nigga likes kindness. He likes helping others. Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's like, we'll do that. And there's a term. Sometimes it's called enabling in other circles, but Shogyam refers to it as idiot compassion. What's that? What do you say? What word was that? What phrase? Oh, I'll say it again. Idiot compassion. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's when you are being idiotic with your compassion. You're actually enabling people because you're probably doing it out of your own ego and you're enabling them because who the fuck knows? You feel guilty. You feel sad. This could be like, for example, someone on my case, another person on my case that was talking about how, he's repairing his relationship with his sons, right? He has an older son who's like, his mid-20s, and he has a younger son who just started college, right? The older son has dealt with more of dad's shits, right? Because he was older when dad was not being a great role model, to say the least, right? The younger son, doesn't have experience, right? So he's less, he's been less traumatized, to use that word, by the father's actions, right? But he's working on repairing and healing both relationships. And so something happened where he wanted to get his son a car. And, he was talking about it, and he was talking to me about it, and then he was talking to one of his friends about it. And, his friend sort of pointed this out, and I kind of reiterated it. It's like, listen, you're not going to undo the hurt you caused. You can only heal in the present moment. You're not going to erase how they felt, all those years ago when this happened and you weren't there and that sort of stuff. But, and you can, in the present, work on healing. It's not erasing, it's healing, right? You don't get rid of the wounds, you heal the wounds, right? You don't just like, oh, the wound's gone. Like, oh, great. No, you heal the wounds, right? But it's still there. You still may have a scar, but it's healed, right? It's taken care of. It's not infected. And, I was like, yeah, you can't do things out of guilt in the present based on things you did in the past, because that's not a good energy to bring in. And again, that could be ego, where it's like, oh man, yeah, you need to make it up to your son. Like, you need to do this for him. Like, and like the situation was the son had like basically totaled his car, and the guy on check for it, then blew it, and then like wanted a car, but it was like, you should save the check you got for the car, and now you want a car now. So it was like that. So it was like, oh, okay, like, so then he was kind of trying to swoop in there, and it's like, oh, let me get one for him. And then I was just like, yeah, don't do it out of guilt. Like, don't do it because you're trying to repair and heal, and you think this is a way to do that by getting this car, or whatever the case may be. So, the energy we bring in to these situations is just always critical. And where was I? Oh, yeah. So we can always bring in our ego to any situation if we are not aware of how our own personal brand and style of ego kind of weaves its way in there, And yes, it's going to use hope. It's going to be like, hey, Hope, come in here. We got to get this dude to do something. We got to get her to do something. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Hope, can you tell Posh what you told me? Oh, $1 million? That's what I'm going to make next year? Like, oh, yeah, I do hope for that, And he goes like, oh, yes. I got him to buy into the hope again. And so we just always have to be not on guard, but just aware of how sneaky we can be in our own mind. So let me keep reading because I'm on a schedule here. I'm going to the gym, and I think we may have to finish this later, but we're going to keep going. Okay. So working with slogans does not mean looking for temporary revelation or trying to achieve something by doing little smart things that have managed to quell people's problems in the past. You may have become a great speaker by giving one talk, or a great psychologist who has managed to conquer other people's neurosis, or a great literary figure who has read several books, or a famous musician who has produced several albums. Such things are somewhat based on relating with reality properly, being connected with reality. But you want to subjugate the world in your own particular style, however subtle and sneaky that may be. By doing the same kind of trick, you hope to attain enlightenment. You have tuned into a professional approach and become a professional achiever. Right? Because we're all tied up into the hopes and dreams and success of what we're doing. That's like, it's about achievement, right? But like, achievements are not in the present moment. I shouldn't have to keep slowing down and stop to say these things. I would hope people would understand this, but I still feel called to say this. There's nothing wrong with achievements. There's nothing wrong with goals. There's nothing wrong with pursuing things. It's the hope and the fear, but hope in this specific example, that we tie to these things that creates issues in our life, in our minds, in our hearts, in our reality, in our consciousness. That's the issue. It's not necessarily having dreams. It's the intention and energy that surround the dreams, connected to our hope about the dreams, desires, goals, achievements, whatever. So, say that again. I'm completely someone who nothing's good or bad. That sounds like a whimsical thing that spiritual people and occult people say, but I truly believe that. It's only our perception in this world that determines this is good or this is bad, and that's all relative. I hate olives, but to some people, olives are the best things in the world. Who's right? Who's wrong? No one. Both of us. So, some people don't like olives, other people don't. Right? Anything that can be determined good because also in another context be determined bad, and vice versa. Bad is the same side of the coin as good. They are one coin. Same with hope and fear. Same coin, two different sides, not separate things, intertwined. When you got hope, you got fear. When you got fear, you got hope. Okay? Because when you hope for something to happen, you also fear at the same time that you fear that it won't happen. Right, or anything related to that, right? So they're intertwined, they're connected, same side of the coin, yin and yang. Do I need to go further? Okay, but I just need to keep pointing out that nothing is inherently bad or wrong. Just like nothing is inherently good or bad. Like a loaf of bread, is bread good? You can make a case that bread is good. Ooh, it's delicious. It's a nice snack, right? You can make a case that bread's bad. Ooh, it's carbs, it's wheat, gluten, right? Neither is right, neither is wrong. It's up to you to determine what's right for you, okay? Not even the words I'm saying. Don't even fucking, whatever. I'm just some guy in a office studio space with occult pictures behind me, reading from books and giving my insights, okay? Now, I'm being a little whatever to myself, but the point is, figure it out yourself. You're the scientist. You are the scientist. Let me just take a break. I got 8 minutes left. We're not going to get to everything, so I'm just going to take the rest of this time to tell you, you who is watching this, you right now who is watching this video, who's sitting there, who's probably, I don't know, eating goldfish. Actual goldfish, not goldfish crackers, like you're just actually eating goldfish that you win at the county fair, right? You're sitting there slurping down some goldfish, you know what I'm saying? Watching this video, thinking about abandoning your hopes. You're the scientist. You figure out what you want to do. Run an experiment. Hey, let me see. Okay, for the next 2 days, I really work on abandoning my hopes. When I feel a hope is coming up, I say, you know what, I'm going to let that hope go and, just see how I feel, right? Try it out. See how you feel. Because I feel better. And actually, I'll tell this story real quick to end this episode. So there is going to be a part 4, so get ready. So last night, I don't fuck with dating apps too much. I kind of hop in, hop out, because I notice about myself with certain things that certain things bring out addictive, obsessive behavior. And it's not even necessarily like, I get obsessed with people on there, addicted to people on there, but it's just the whole experience. I know, like, something takes over, and it's just like, I just have to keep swiping. I got to keep, like all that sort of stuff, right? So I use them very limitedly, right? And so recently, I've been back on a few, right? And so yesterday, I'm traveling, right? So I put some feelers out there that like, hey, people in the city I'm traveling to, I'm going to be here. Maybe you want to meet up. Maybe you want to go get a drink. Maybe go get a meal, right? Put those things out there, right? Heard some responses, started talking to people, right? And so this was like, most of my day yesterday, right? And then, get to the evening, right? Do a video, right? Then like, oh, let me put some more things out there, right? This is where it starts to, I'm like, oh. Like later I was like, oh, wow, okay, I see what happens. Then something happens. And it turned into me where this is like, I know myself enough where it's like, this is why I can't be on these things a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it turns into me where it's just like my passion is so like leveled up and inflamed from like, attractive women, and like you're talking to them and like, oh, ha, 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 right? And like, they're beautiful and all this sort of things. And you're thinking about like, ooh, yeah, it'd be cool to go on a date with her. And then this, and then like, ooh, maybe this will happen. Wink, wink, all this sort of stuff, right? It gets built up in your mind. What are these, folks? These are hopes, right? These are hopes. And I hadn't experienced this in a while. This thing that I'm talking about, this kind of passion hope tandem that kind of got brought up from these dating apps. But it led to me being wide awake the whole night, because it's like basically my mind was like so like wired thinking about, this is, and then it goes further where it's like, oh, I just need to say the right thing. I need to do the right thing. I need to put the right picture there, right? All based on hope, right? That like, oh, well, it's like, oh, if I put this picture out here, this will be the picture that like all the women love, and like, I'll get all the dates, right? These are the hopes that were created in my mind. And it just led me to just be on these things and not even, I was even on them all night, but I was just so wired from all these hope balloons, all this passion that was raised in me from thinking about these potentialities and these like, oh yeah, I hope she gets back to me. Oh, that was funny what I said. I hope she likes that. I hope she thinks it's funny. Hope, 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 hope. Balloon, 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 balloon. A balloon that leads to disappointment and pain, right? Because then if she doesn't get back to me, oh, was it something I said? What did I do wrong? Oh, I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough, right? See how these things unpack and turn into issues. So, so I was just wide awake. And again, at some point I was just like, okay, I need to put my phone down, right? But naturally I would get like responses, so that I would pick it up, even though I was like, don't pick it up. Go to sleep, man. But it was just like my mind was in such a place with the passion and the hope balloons that it was like very hard to turn it off and turn it down and to disconnect from it. And I hadn't had this experience in a while, and now I could see it a little bit more clearer for what it was and what was actually happening, right? Based on kind of just recently dealing with abandoning hope and recognizing my hopes in situations. Like, I hope to have a girlfriend again. Like, I hope to have a wife, a partner, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I need to pursue those things without the hope attached, right? It's like you still reach out to people. You still go on apps or, talk to people in person and things like that. But it's like you have to detach from the hopes connected to these things, right? So I was just like wide awake all night. I even like did exercise at like 3 a.m. I was like, oh, if I stretch and do exercise, that'll tire me out and I'll fall asleep. Nope. Normally that can work if I'm like wired and like, it's like late, I need to go to sleep. I'll just do like, some like hip stretches, and usually like a good hip stretch. Although I really didn't do too many hip stretches because I was like, nah, I'm going to just like lift weights. Like I don't fuck around with hip stretches. I'm just going to lift weights to calm myself down, or, relax myself so I could not be so wired and go to sleep. But my mind was so wired. Like I literally am running on about like an hour or less of sleep. Like I fell asleep at like 5:45 for like 37 minutes. And I woke up and I had to get ready for work. And surprisingly, I've had a great day. I do feel tired. But surprisingly, I've actually had a great day. And I've actually interacted with things in my day that I normally wouldn't interact, but like in a good way, right? I probably would have been less quiet in certain situations. I probably would have responded to that like that. I probably would have made that joke. So it was just very interesting today, like how I dealt with the lack of sleep, because I was actually pretty okay. It's not something I strive for, but, because sometimes I don't get much sleep. I just have a terrible headache and I'm all like, but surprisingly, I did okay. But yeah, I really kind of was really thinking about, just these passions and hopes that I was stirring up last night, and how they just really just amped up my system so much where I couldn't even turn off my mind. I was so amped up by them because it was like the potential of like, oh yeah, oh she's cute, oh she's into this, oh I could definitely beat her in Scrabble or whatever it is. But it was definitely very eye-opening. It was definitely very eye-opening. And there's certain hopes that are stronger in all of us, right? Like there's some people like, I hope to own a $10 million business. Not me. I will take a independent business that makes me $100,000. That's all my own, all independent, and that is fine. Because if I can't do what I need to do in life, making $100,000 independently, then I am doing way too much. I'm living somewhere too pricey. I'm just that's insane. That I should be fine, right? And I don't need any more than that. But I say that now, and then a year later, I'm like, well, 200,000. So I was just really kind of. It was interesting because these things have happened before. Or in other ways, but I didn't have the perspective. I didn't have the perception and awareness of what was happening. I didn't like what was happening before, but I understand kind of from this angle now in terms of my hope, what actually was happening. So Anyways, I'm going to call it. Take care. Part 4, because, yeah, there's some other shit I need to get to that I did not get to. And also, I got to finish reading what Chilgim said. So look out for part 4. And eventually, I'm going to put them all together in one video. So, peace. Abandon all your hopes. And remember, abandon all your hopes. Abandon all your desires and for success. And just be doing shit. That's a secret I've learned. It's just doing shit and figure out how you can get yourself to do the shit you want to do, right? But it's like, don't do it out of fear, don't do it out of hope. It's just like, oh, painting, and then you go paint. Oh, going for a walk, and then you go for a walk, right? It's like, does that have to be like, oh, I hope I go for a walk today. Oh, I'm afraid if I don't go for a walk today, like I'll keel over, right? No. Just if you have a thought about like going for a walk, just get up and go for a walk. It's as simple as that. Leave the hope at home. Leave the fear in the garbage can. Leave the fear in the windowsill, getting sunned on. And yeah, just do. Just be and do. That's it. Thinking is what turns off our Buddha mind, folks. Thinking. When you're thinking, boo, Buddha mind off. When you're not thinking, oh, Buddha mind back on. So keep that in mind as well. And when you have hopes, when you have fears, what's happening? You're thinking. How about that? All right, bye.